Hello, Proxy Table Gaming. I am Hyper G. Lucky Sixes is there.
Watch it.
How are you doing? You all right?
Yes, not too bad, not too bad. We are here. We've skipped a few behind the scenes games to go straight into Cardiff because it was actually over a week ago now, and
Yeah,
we want to
yeah.
get all these out as much as possible. So there's a few games we've got coming up afterwards that will be before, but
Yeah.
like any good MCU, time is not a thing. So
MCU, Mobile Construction Unit. That's Command and Conquer, isn't it?
come on, call yourself a nerd. Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, it's still nerdy to know Command and Conquer,
No, it is
MCU.
actually. To be fair,
So,
yeah, that's
you
that's
know,
probably even nerd. So you've actually outdone me.
yeah, I have. I think I have.
Mm,
I win that
yeah.
round. Yeah.
All right, 1-0 to you. But on to Cardiff. And of course, Cardiff was the first 3.0 tournament in the UK. There have been a
Yeah.
few online and such. But
Mm.
yeah, we were excited
Massive
to
thanks
do
to
it.
Rob Cousins for putting it on.
Yeah,
I
really good
mean, get
tournament.
that out
And
there straight away.
yeah. Cardiff's always a great venue. It's always a good
Mm.
tournament, well run. And considering he hadn't even looked at the rule book, he did
Yeah.
very well as a TO
And played in it,
throughout the
and played
weekends.
in the tournament as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so well
Yeah,
done
no
to him.
spare player nonsense for Rob.
No, I of course took my high elves, and I've been trying a few battles with it recently, and decided to go straight in with that. As I thought I'd found a good combination. Um, until David grudged me. It's so to
Oh, I
say.
thought you were talking about your illegal dragon build
Oh yes,
with your good
well, yeah,
combination.
that is
Because I mean,
worth
that was a very
mentioning.
good combination.
It was we had a great combination and realised my dragon was illegal. So
Yeah, about
because
2 days
couldn't have
before the
a
tournament.
yeah, man, couldn't.
So
But
all that
I changed
practice
his
out the
loadout and
window.
he's still the most expensive monster available
Yes,
in the game.
which you have to do. Yeah.
We'll get straight stuck into it. It
Mm.
is High Prince, Queen Cavalier, Ancient Dragon with a lance, and of course a longbow to keep him at 900 points, which was the
Yeah.
thing. I've got a on foot mage with Book of Melodies, which rerolls failed casting attempts once per phase if you use 2 or 3 dice. He's on
So
divination
good.
to help my shooting later on.
Yeah. Really good.
My commander BSB also helps with shooting by giving a unit accurate, and has the Elu's Heartwood longbow to add a
Old
bit of
favorite.
punch.
Yeah.
I've got in my core. I've got 14 Highborn Lancers with Warbanner Orimer. Just one. I think Lance is better now. Well, we know Lance is better, so let's give them a go.
Mhm.
Let's they've had a buff.
Yeah.
Let's see what they can do.
Yeah.
18 Seaguard with just standard bearer. Five
Scoring.
Reavers. Then two Initiates because, in my opinion, they're auto include.
I think so
Um,
too. I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
so but two is auto include in my opinion as well. That it's a good price and they do a lot. So I'm very happy with them. Line Chariot because Line Chariot, Cat Claw, of course. Then we have 18 Queen's Guard with Banner of
Love
Becoming,
them.
which I love. I really think going into I had three battles, and it really made a difference. So I'm really hoping that it makes a difference as well. But basically, just takes a dice off your opponent in their phase,
Yeah.
which I think is
Yeah.
really
Doesn't
good.
give it to you because
Doesn't give
that's
it to
not
me,
how it works anymore with veil
no,
tokens.
but it
Aren't
is
really a
only
thing. But
yeah, but it is only
yeah.
30 points, so it's gone down.
Yeah, I like
But
that.
I now so I don't get a benefit. It's just like a becoming side of
Well,
things.
I think it's a really good way of like calming down an opponent magic phase. Like there is
Yeah,
a chance
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
if they're the kind of army that is built to get two spells off, then you might be making them only get one off. Or if they're an
Exactly.
army that's built to only get one spell off, you give them a real solid chance of messing up that extra dice casting and
Yeah,
not getting
and
anything off. So I
there
think
is
it's big.
another few ways of like dispelling stuff and making your dispelling better and giving plus
Hmm.
ones and reroll all that stuff. So I feel like that could also be a part of another list where you've got
Yeah.
this really anti-magic high elf
Yeah.
list, which is interesting. And then to finish off, 6 Grey Watchers with shields.
Shields.
Yeah, well,
Who
again,
gave him
5 points left
shields?
over. So
Oh.
we are counting the big moral victory is how much the longbow does and how many armor saves I get on my my 6 Grey Watchers. Come on.
Okay.
Over to David, and we have not played ever in the world of Ninth
Which
Age,
is a
and it is
tragedy. Yeah.
a tragedy, a disgrace. So I
Mm.
gladly accepted, and then realised he was on Infernal Dwarves, not Demon Legions, as it says at the top.
Oh yeah.
But
I wasn't going to notice that. Yeah.
no, yeah. Well, there's a big emblem. Look at the emblem. Don't look at the
They
top.
are an
Look at
ID
the
emblem.
emblem.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so mine obviously has a lot of flaming and a lot of flaming damage, and this in
They
particular.
laugh at your flaming.
Yeah, literally, and of course neither of us knew before going into the tournament, so it wasn't like that. But it was like when we found out, it was like, okay, that's cool, But he has a prophet of Neshkabij on a bastion with alchemy. He has Obsidian Rocks MR, which I think is really good. It's what my illegal dragon had before. And a spell scroll. The Lamassu, which was interesting because the Lamassu, I think, either gets an extra spell or an extra channel. So I just gave him the extra channel, and because of my Bekarman banner, he just didn't get it. So
there you go. So I don't know how much of the 335 points are that effect, but you just 30 pointed it.
I 30 pointed that bad boy. Then I got BSB. Oh, then he's got BSB again with a blunderbuss, so that's the theme, and some other stuff to make him decent in combat. I think just to add a little bit of punch there.
Flame of the East, is that the breath weapon? It can't be breath weapon in combat anymore, can it? I don't know.
In combat. Yeah, it might be grind attacks.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But of course, he has the big 20 Infernal Warriors with blunderbuss and flaming standard.
Oh yeah,
just to give them all that goodness. And the blunderbuss has been changed slightly in that it always hits on 5, so I was very scared of this unit.
Yeah.
Because even a third of them going through on like my Queen's Guard and stuff just hurts. He's got 21 vassal levies with bows to add a bit of shooting pew pew. And I don't know whether those ones give the flammable thing as well. They might
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, you might be right.
30 shackled slaves, as well as a big pit. Yeah, we'll see. 21 disciples of Luger, of course, 3 up to flaming. With Banner of Shamut as well. The 3 in total Kadim chariots, 1 with great weapon, 2 with paired weapons. They of course have the flaming resistance. The vassal slingshot, which does give the flammable. That is one that has it on, but is also flammable.
It has no flaming resistance.
Yes, with the opposite actually. Its weakness to it. And then the Infernal Engine Choo Choo with the rocket battery as well.
It's definitely like an in-joke in the ID army, isn't it? Like everything is resistant to flaming, and then the vassal slingshot, you're weak to it.
Yeah,
you boys are screwed.
Absolutely. So that's my target, basically.
Yeah, and funnily enough, we went out for dinner and drinks with David and Elliot and Matty P the night before, didn't we? We
did.
Had a lovely time.
Yeah,
and,
really.
There was a lot of shit being thrown about this matchup, wasn't there?
Yeah,
a lot of it's a big red matchup for the Highborns, and David saying lots about how he was going to ruin you. So
he was, yes. Yeah. In other terms, many other terms. But yeah, a really good night out. Cardiff was a good night actually. So we had a fun time there. Round number 1 for both of us, but for this battle as well, was bottleneck. So you have like this. It's a kind of like an attack me defender type thing.
It's a lot easier
thing, as you can see there. And the spoils of war. So if you're scoring units, kill stuff basically, but obviously if they die, they lose the tokens that they get. So yeah,
I think I'm doing it right now. Spoils of war.
Yeah, it's
just not like I was for the first 2 battles. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Our secondary objectives were
nice.
for me stand firm, which was quite nice to be honest. It's I must admit the high elf ones, just by chance really suit my list. This one is keep your own, have more scoring in your own deployment than the opponent. So hang
Just
back.
keep them out. Yeah.
And his will settle
Yeah.
the score, so he had to kill my lancers actually, who are the most expensive scoring unit. Oh, it says non-scoring unit there, so maybe I'm a dragon was his thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, he had to kill stuff. This is my army, the shot that I took weeks and weeks ago. And I'm going to put it at the start because people tell me to show the army. So voila.
Oh, okay. I didn't do that. So you're 1-1 now.
1-1. Okay, cool. And this was heading into deployment. So yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I've got Dragon Lancers, Reavers with the. So I did some tokens for myself.
I was going to say, I'm looking at these little round things.
The dragons, yeah. I did have one for my ancient, which was MR2 to remember that. But of course, I just chucked that in the bin a few days before.
Yeah. You would have burnt it, but the laminated did such a good job that it would have set the whole office on fire.
Yeah, you can see my cards. If you look very closely, they look like they're about 8 years old. But they were done a day before the tournament. So,
just really badly by the laminator.
Terrible laminating skills. But yes, so red and blue have 24. Essentially, my red one was my Pew Pew, who had a Pyroflow and Molten Copper, both were 24 inches. And the blue one was my buff dragon, which most of his buffs, including the hereditary, if he ever took that, was 18 inches. So I kept those next to it. Very, very obvious which ones are which. It helped. I guess it helped my opponent as well, saying ranges and things. But for me, it was what often happens is I move them, then I tinker, and then they're out of range and they can't help for the rest of the game, the rest of the turn. So I put them there on specifically for that focus, really. But I've got Ancient Dragon Lancers, Reavers with the Pew Pew Dragon, Sea Guard, Grey Watchers, Lion Chariot, Queen's Guard, and the Buff Dragon there. Both my BSB and my on-foot mage are in with the Queen's Guard, which is my default. They can go in others, but that is my default because obviously BSB gives them accurate, which means if they don't move, they're hitting things on 2s, which is incredible.
It is. Yeah.
And David got the first turn, and he's got Chariot. Both of those are the paired weapons guys. The slaves on the hill that's moved up to the hill. The Choo Choo train just touching the hill. Blunderbuss unit with Bastion and all the other characters and such. Then he's got the Great Weapon Chariot in front of the bows, the Slingshot at the back, and the Lugars heading straight for my Queen's Guard, which is a scary sight for me. But I can't remember. I think we kind of 1-for-1'd it actually. We didn't, and then he had the +1 and just won the roll off.
What, you mean you didn't drop?
No, I did. I don't think I did this time. Which was
what?
Yeah, I know.
What?
But, anyway, I'm not sure I had the option.
Or you dropped and then lost the +2.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way.
Either way, yeah. But yes, this is how it looks on Infernal Dwarves turn 1.
Has your chariot lost a few wins to a slingshot? By the looks of it. There you go.
Yes, it has, baby. It hit, it wounded, it did all 3 wounds, and I was like, oh, that slingshot needs to die.
Yeah.
As you can see as well, he's got these cool little tokens. So because he hit me, he also makes me flammable. For what it's worth. And then my turn ensued. I kind of played it quite tentative on the left. Used my dragon as a bit of against the wall there. Lancers backed off, so there weren't any charges that could go into him. But of course, they got movement 10 on the charge because of Warbanner Orimer.
Sure.
So they're hopefully zoning something over there.
Pick their target, yeah.
Yeah. The Pew Pew Dragon comes this way because I think I'm going to need it for the Lugers just as attrition sort of thing. My Sea Guards say relatively the same, but move back because they're quick to fire anyway, so that's pretty cool. Oh no. Don't move specifically for one reason, which will come up in a sec. The Reavers come to the right, because again, I think I'm going to need them for chaff at some point. And the Grey Watchers and Lion Chariot both move as far over to the right as they can. Again, looking at those Lugers, just seeing if I can hold them up as much as possible. So it's very obvious what my chaff is looking to do, but it also wants to survive, is the other thing.
Well, yeah. So,
in Magic, I get 1 on Molten Copper on the thing, which, can always happen. I think it's got metal armor, so I was a little bit disappointed to only do 1, but hey, I think it's still got armor save after the thing. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you don't roll like 5 or 6 on the D3 as well, it is quickly will stop with doing damage, won't it?
Yeah,
so
and it was
I don't think I did more than 2 with a Molten Copper. So
yeah, I think it was at this point he reminded me it's got 8 wounds, and I was like, oh god, this is gonna be a long game.
that's more wounds than turns there.
Yeah. I also get Stars Align off on these guys, and my phase generally had like 2 spells regularly going off, so it was pretty good. So yeah, I got Stars Align to reroll hit. So these guys specifically, obviously because they've long range, they'll be hitting on 4s, but also for another reason, because they were in the arc of the choo-choo train. That, of course, is advanced position. So anybody that hasn't yet got to grips with advanced position, do it, because it's the most important rule in the game at the minute. But yeah, even for shooting, you get a +1 to wound if you don't move. So that's why they didn't move. They stuck where they are. Now they've got rerolls to hit and +1 to wound now. So I'm hoping really it's still got armor. I'm still only 8 not shooting, but every little helps. So I was excited to see what I did, and I did 1 wound. So again, blinky. If they could just stay there for 6 turns, that'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah. Just stay there and be shot.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like as well, you only get advanced position shooting once in a game.
So really the next time he just turns around to face you.
Because then they're like, oh,
you did what?
That's a great rule. So my Queen's Guard get revenge on the slingshot for hurting Catclaw. How dare you? And of course, all of those 21 shots in total with flaming and rerolls do kill the slingshot, thankfully. But yeah. Of course, not moving over here did mean that I left a 6 on the dice, of course, Swift Strike, to get in. They stand and shoot, so if it does get in, I will stand and shoot.
But only if it gets in.
For me, it did get in.
It did get in, okay.
Which is
well,
great.
That's what Swift Strike 6 is.
Yeah, I didn't do any wounds on the stand and shoot. But I do have Spears, and it's got Swift Strike, so come on. And I've got rerolls to hit still.
Okay.
So come on. Come on.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
He marches up his slaves to chaff my lancers.
Are they like losing models off the back for their
so I think
stuff?
I think he's marched twice and in total has lost 6 or 5. I think. Yeah. So
it's not many. Yeah.
No. And his Lugers go super aggro on that right hand side, as well as the blunderbusses just moving up so that they can shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the chariots just go on again, staying quite far back from my rerollable charging dragon because of the cavalier. And you can see we've already started drinking again. I say we. That's David's point.
I mean, you tried to keep up with him the Friday night, and that was admirable, if not stupid.
Both of those. Yes, onto this. And for the tournament, as a side rule, we were playing Arcane Ruins. And I didn't decide to search it. I'm not sure whether you can decide, because I was deployed in it. But anyway, he then went, well, I'll search it if you're not going to. And we rolled Napteshi Tomb for
It's a cousin of Nezibkesh.
Yes, it is.
Maybe.
So he gains Horror and Unruly. And at the time, I didn't. I just went along with because he had the rules. But he said that I got Whispers of the Veil balance spell, but I thought it was him. But anyway,
I thought it's him as well. Yeah.
For what it's worth, didn't cast it the whole game.
Okay, so there you go.
It didn't matter, but yeah.
Yeah.
He multi-copied my dragon because he's got that as well. Does 2 wounds to me. Luckily,
and you don't have 8 wounds.
No, I don't. I only have 5, but I don't have metal armor either. So it was one of those. But yeah, a couple of wounds there. He gets Umbral Majesty, which gives him grind attacks as well on his guy, and Dying Blow just in case I do kill it.
Yeah, I guess there's no rule about you have to choose between grind attacks and impact hits. No,
don't think so. I don't think
so.
A lot of stuff have either
it might have been gone a while. So, but yeah.
But yeah, so that was annoying. And I don't do a single wound to him with anything.
No lethal strike.
He absolutely obliterates me. I shit my elven pants, run away, and luckily for me, he only rolls 3 on the swift ride overrun, which just meant my reavers got to survive. And I was looking at this. I was like, I think I can get out with most of his charges as well. So
it's quite a small triangle that you can see now.
Yeah, there was a silver lining, but that wasn't a good showing from the Seaguard.
No.
Over here, I decided just to charge the Ancient Dragon in. There was reasons for it really, because I think I wanted to keep my Lancers in reserve, countercharging what I was going to be countercharged. So that I think was it. And I thought if I go into the slaves, if something charges me, I've got all the slaves then for extra damage and extra combat res. So yeah, I didn't mind this too much, even though, as you can see, going on to my movement, there is a decent amount that can countercharge there.
Double chariot, yeah.
My Pew Pew Dragon comes over this way to lend a bit of support, because I've got all my stuff over on the right-hand side, already starting the chaff game with the Lugers, making sure that I got to a position where if they charge the Grey Watchers, there's no overrun into the Queen's Guard, so I was happy enough just to leave my Queen's Guard where they were.
Because they're in the flank of the Grey Watchers,
because they're in the flank, correct. And Catclaw and the Reavers come over for a bit of support later on.
You don't mean support, you mean next 2 turns of chaff.
That's supporting. That's very supportive of you.
It's sacrificing is what it is.
Yes. The buff dragon moves behind there in a pretty safe place in order to breath weapon, and I'm going to start the long process of flaming shots into a 3+
need another
Aegis.
12 turns for that.
Yeah, so we shall see. I do get flaming swords and stars align off on these guys, so at least there's that. So I should be pretty well hitting and pretty well wounding. It's just whether or not they get through the Aegis. And everything in total, including the breath weapon, did 4 wounds.
Oh, that's rough.
So it's 21.
The Lugers are just like, we love these hot tub treatment.
Just eat in the flames, flaming arrows.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So it was a tough ask, and when he just kept rolling the 3-ups, and it is 3-ups, so like doing 4 meant 12. Well, it isn't actually that bad, but
no,
it was it was rough. I wanted to see a few more there. I'm not gonna lie. The dragon, however, with unstable included, actually did a little bit more than I thought he was going to do.
Yeah, that's a bit too much, really.
Kind of defeated the point of me going in and having all that combat res there. Although I still have 9 wounds available, which is still a lot of combat res. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. But they're unstable, so they stick. And afterwards, I moved down to make it long charge for one of the chariots, just hoping that they don't all get in.
Sure.
They all declare the charge, including the Choo Choo tank.
Because it can get round the front if it rolls.
Because it can get round the front. These Lugers obviously go in, and unfortunately for me, every single thing gets into the dragon, which still isn't bad. They're only like strength 5 stuff and a strength 6 too. So it's I'm res 6. I've got that in the back. I've still got a 3-up, so I'll probably have a 5-up save. So just hoping to tank as much as I can.
Your Lancers are kind of flapping there, aren't they? Because they can't actually charge anything while the dragon lives.
No.
Is that right?
No, correct. And that's why moving down was perhaps a bad idea. But either way, if I can tank stuff, it largely might not matter. I've got the Nova Flare, so I can go bypass any Aegis save that he's got. let's just see what we can do.
Of course.
He moves up his blunders to go over to the Queen's Guard, which is a bit
Those
scary.
blunders are dangerously close.
Yeah, and the
Not
chariot.
that distance matters for them, but still.
No, true. And the chariot that was at the bottom that couldn't see anything moves over to threaten my rear, which is never a good thing. The bows face the buff dragon, and the Lamassu you see just at the back just pops out of. It was hiding behind the house, but is feeling pretty confident.
He figures the Queen's Guard have got other problems right now.
Yeah. And he rolls the 1 card on the magic, so as 5 versus 4 because he channels 2 or something. Rolls 5 dice, triple sixes it, and rolls 25 for the miscast effect. Immediately doing d6 -1 wounds to himself, which we read, and we read it as just takes wounds, so you don't have
just loses HP,
rather than takes wounds, because otherwise obviously you get saves against taking wounds. So he rolled a 4, so he lost 3 wounds immediately. Then the other bit was a bit confusing for us. So you then generate a veil ripple marker, and you place it on the center of your guy. It then says at the end of the phase, the reactive player, which is me, will then, and at the end of each magic phase, will move it in directions. But obviously anything it touches, which includes itself this turn, will take a d6 plus 1 toxic character, which to us felt wrong. That it would then do the HP loss and then take the veil ripple marker as well. But we didn't see any reason why it wouldn't be touched by it, because it starts on the center.
Oh well, it moves. It moves 2d6 in a chosen direction at the end of the magic phase, and then when the center of the marker touches. I suppose that could be immediately as well as
So
during.
we weren't sure, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. But he was well, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, and I kind of didn't have anything.
I mean, it is the worst miscast, so you know.
So and of course that's the one he rolled. So he ended up taking another wound from it, and the marker moved this way, because I didn't really.
How many wounds has it got? 5 or 6?
5 in total. So.
That is actually
it was very close actually to be in, because d6 plus 1 as well. So, but thankfully he didn't die from it. But if you guys know the actual rules as intended, that would be very appreciated.
Yeah, no, it does say whenever it touches and it starts on him. I think you've done that right. As far as I can tell.
It did, however, mean that I couldn't dispel his spell, and he got the flammable spell off on my dragon.
Oh no!
All of these things are re-rolling to wound, which was kind of my banker for being able to tank all these wounds. So that was bad. Anyway,
that's really bad.
And that's the spell for what it's. But because of the high thing, I just couldn't dispel it because I only had 4 dice. So we'll see how he gets on with that. The blunderbusters shoot and only do 4 wounds, which, to be honest, I will take that. I'll take that every single day. He kills loads of things, but only rolls quite low. I rolled quite low on the horror minimized flea to only go 2 inches, and he also only goes 2 inches. In the weirdest thing, obviously leaving quite a flank and rear to my units, which he's picked up a token. Maybe I can do him in combat. Maybe my Queen's Guard can. Let's see.
Are the
over here
scoring? No,
Lugas are scoring. Yeah. So they're 1-0 up on the objective so far.
Sure.
This is before combat, and it turns out he's as tough as paper. And this is after. I think the don't worry, the choo-choo train doesn't have an overrun into the lancers there, but of course the chariots do.
What core models David's got?
Get in. Oh yeah.
We say it every time about David when I play.
David regularly wins painting awards, and so it's a lovely army to play against.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of the chariots overrun and do get in, and plan failed, I think is safe to say, over that side, because of course he's got his secondary objective by killing the most expensive non-scoring unit in my yard.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I didn't even kill the slaves either.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
died to impact, because the impact hits are all flaming.
Well, you didn't get your stomp as well, did you? So,
yeah, just terrible. So I need to salvage something in this game, so I go all out in combat. And it's, not traditionally a combat unit, to be fair, but I've got combat res, I've got charge, rear, flank with the line chariot, impact hits, none of which are flaming, so as long as I don't cast flaming swords, you'd think it'd be fine. And this is how it ends up. I don't put my dragon in because the whole model has flaming attacks, and I need to start going against those bows so that he protects himself somewhat. So I move like this for the rest of my models. The Reavers chaff the chariot to give me a bit of time with those two units, and the dragon comes over to breath weapon over there. The other dragon. So this was a thing with the new rules. Now I was in a really safe position there with my 24-inch pew pew dragon, because if you pivot. You're facing after combat, in the subsequent turn you can't charge. So even if they just annihilate my lancers, they can't then charge the dragon, which is interesting. I think that does limit a lot of combat units, and I don't particularly like it, but exploit.
No, it's definitely something you have to have in your head, both opponent and active player. Because you've literally done that knowing that rule, because you've looked at it and been aghast by it for many weeks.
I think it gives
catch people out.
It does give units like this a lot of breathing space, which I'm not.
Light troops,
obviously
again.
For me,
light troops becomes brilliant.
Yeah. So there's I think there's lots of little hidden buff. I don't particularly like that rule in general, but obviously knew about it enough.
Yeah.
Over here, I breath weapon and I molten copper. If we go back, I molten copper the choo choo train. Do 1 wound, so it's down to 5 now. Come on. Come on. And I get starter line off for rerolls to hit, which is very nice there. The token went back into him and killed him for the last wound.
Went back into him. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It did plink off the last wound. It didn't fail. It didn't roll the Aegis. And he died.
You could say the Lamassu had a bad day. What with the losing his extra dice to your becalming banner and the miscast, etc. But arguably, that one spell did mean you lost your ancient dragon.
Exactly.
Arguably. So points for points, he's probably done okay, but could have been a lot better without that bit of bad luck.
It's just unfortunate to miscast it, because I think it could have
change one of those 6s to a 5s, and he gets exactly the same death rate without dying. But
I breath weapon, and my breath weapon does 5 wounds.
You will kill those slaves.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening, David. And I breath weapon over here and do 4 wounds. So it starts the breath weapon process. Of course, you can do that every single turn now, which is amazing.
Even more reason why initiates must take.
Over here, I don't actually do any wounds in combat. Even with impact hits, even with just everything, I do nothing. Thankfully, because of restricted attacks, he only does 2 to me in total, which means overall...
One is to Catclaw, though.
Yes, I have... which I was very surprised that Catclaw actually survived, to be honest. But yeah, he lost by 2 or 3, I think, in terms of combat res. Ended up rolling an 8 and fleeing, and fled off the board. And I pursued with both. My scoring Queen's Guard.
That should never happen. Those Luger would just be like, who are these smucks coming in and dying to us? They would have just literally turned around.
I was just like slapping them a little bit. Like that. But yeah, ran off the board, and because of... I wanted to show this rule as well, the page 35 in the reference manual. Specifically, the going forward into a table edge. If you go into... You don't go off the board now. You just get a free pivot in any direction. So, of course, I faced this direction.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall.
But it is again a pivot, which means if it was your turn next, you would be able to charge.
I couldn't charge, yeah, correct. But
it wasn't your turn next.
But meant
Oh, no,
I
it is
stayed
your
on the
turn
board.
next.
So there's half of it. I was like, I'm staying on the board for blunderbusses, but anyway. Over here, he only kills 4, which I was surprised at. So I am steady, but
right.
it doesn't matter because I run off the board. I don't have the re-roll. I do have the, I think leadership 8. I think I roll on a 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
Run off the board, and he pivots, but of course can't charge me.
Dragon's laughing at them. Yeah.
Which sounds silly, really, but anyway. And this is the post-combat pivot we were talking about earlier for people who want to read it. No idea what page it is, though. I should probably put page numbers on. Anyway, over here, on to ID's turn, and they charge here, and this is the turn 4 movement. The chariots kind of know on the left-hand side, they've killed the dragon. They know that I'm just going to dance around them all game. They're happy just to watch the rest of the battle. Same with the Bastion, but of course the Bastion can shoot. And the slaves face their fate over there. The bows, the blunderbusses turn to their rear and to my buff dragon, while the bows carry on facing the Queen's Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And magic does 1 wound to me.
Okay, that's
I
all
think. But the blunderbusses kill me, and it wasn't close. And at this point, I'm like, oh, this is why I was scared of the blunderbusses. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, up until then, they'd just been toying with you. Really.
Yeah. The rocket battery only does 2 wounds, so I've got 1 wound left to get through
get out
slaves.
Oh right, yeah. You want to kill those slaves.
Yeah, and the chariot kills the Reapers.
Shouldn't?
Obviously, overruns a little bit and runs into a nice little charge from my Catclaw, who's left on 1 wound, but is a bit suicide missioning. So to keep my
and he
Queen's
can
Guard
charge
safe
because
there.
a turn had happened between when you reformed,
Correct.
when you pivoted on the board edge. Yeah.
So it's only the subsequent turn. So if there's a turn in between, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he reads all my rules and goes, you know what, I flee. And he rolls pretty far actually, but is pretty safe on the board. There's only a slight
Catclaw's looking a bit vulnerable there.
angle. Yep. And this is the remaining moves. There's not a lot. This is actually before I charge, but there's not a lot to do apart from get the dragon in a good position to flame away, to get your flame on, baby. And I do end up killing the unit.
Oh, you do.
Come on.
Success!
100 points, baby, or whatever.
Yes! And now you'll lose a 345-point dragon.
I get rerolls to hit and do 5 wounds in total, which actually I thought was a bit low on these bow dudes. But they pass their panic and stick around a little bit longer. This is Infernal Dwarves turn 5, and this is just showing you what the rocket batteries coming up to face me, the blunderbusses have faced me as well, and the chariots just don't mind really what they're doing. Over here, he gets corruption tin off on my chariot, just in case he gets a few pews against me.
Yeah.
Blunderbusses kill my second
they went that
dragon in 2 turns. So fair enough. And fortunately for me, he goes against the chariot, and the chariot survives. Woohoo! So takes another charge. Why not? Hey?
Yeah.
And he holds this time because otherwise he'd go off the board. My Queen's going to shoot and kill the rest of these bows, so it's all little points.
That's good.
Points here, points there. I go in, chariot, Catclaw, hello, baby.
Yeah,
Kills,
that's very good.
There's the last one there.
Considering it took 3 wounds before you'd had a turn,
Yeah.
Catclaw has had a good game.
Yeah, and then he actually took a wound in combat, I believe, and he only has 4. So I think at this point, I think he's got 5, but he doesn't. But he gets charged and gets killed anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And this is the end of the game, which of course the blunderbusses were not able to get into my objective as well, which means I do get my secondary objective, Stand Firm, which is cool. And that is how the game endeth. And it was a good fun battle, always is with David, and it was nice to actually finally get a game in And yeah,
David's always a good
have some
person to
fun.
play. David's very good at explaining what his army does, and not slowing things down while doing so.
Yeah,
So you're never caught out with anything that he does because he has explained it to you, and you can have a proper good game because of it. That's always, especially in 3.0 rules where no one knows what anything does for certain anymore. So yeah, really cool. I look forward to the next time we play him. And his models are beautiful. So.
It was really good battle, and I was very fortunate to get a 12-8 because of the secondary objective. I lost 15-5 on points, but because I killed his Lugers in combat and nothing else, no other scoring killed anything. So obviously he killed my dragon and my lancers, but there was no scoring to claim the token.
No.
So I got the secondary, which was nice, and
I guess that's the ID scoring was the shooting units really, apart from the Lugers, wasn't it? They were never really planning on being in combat. So
so in the end, I was pretty happy with a 12-8.
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah. I
and
mean, at one
game.
point when you were losing dragons left, right, and centre, and lancers and Seaguard one after the other, it looked like it could have been a heavy one. But no, you plinked a few points towards the end, picked your targets well, and I think you come out of that one all right.
Yeah, definitely. And then getting a bit of luck with the Lugar overrun of 1-1 was the big turning point of the game. I think that was either going to be a 20-0 or something a bit closer because of that as well. So yeah, very happy for that. Getting the objective was nice, and cheers for the game, David.
Really cool.
We both got the secondary objective, I should say. As well, because I was more in my scoring and he killed my dragon or lancers. It didn't matter. I think we played lancers actually, but it didn't matter.
No, you got both. Yeah,
and that was game 1 for moi, which is very very fun. We go on to game 2 for you next. Game 1 for you next. Sorry,
game 1.
Where it all starts. But of course, in the meantime, if you want to catch any of our shenanigans, go on, of course, the forum. But also X, Facebook, and Patreon, if you're that way inclined as well. We very much appreciate it.
Because David, of course, is a loyal Patreon. He is the most elite of the PTG people. If you want to be as elite and wonderful as David, then join him and others, and we will be grateful. There you go.
Absolutely, no, we certainly
Otherwise,
will.
And it's what me.
Yeah, it's what keeps the lights on for Proxy Table Gaming, to be fair. So,
rates are going up.
Apparently. But yes, we move on to your game 1, and you had
Welsh Captain Ollie. Yeah. You got grudged. I got Welsh captained. Yeah. So yes, tough one for me.
Yes, and Ollie's been playing lots of systems, so it was really cool to see what he played for Ninth Age. Which is interesting. But otherwise, comment on anything you've seen. We very much appreciate it.
Or other things generally.
Or other things, What's the weather like by you? It's very
miserable.
Rainy. It's a good. This is one of the few days where I'm glad I don't have windows in this garage. But yes. Otherwise, we will see you in the next battle report.
We will.
See you later.